get started, I think we first need to consider the approval of the minutes from the October 28th meeting. I wasn't in attendance, I have read the minutes. Is there a motion or any corrections that need to happen concerning
I
the
move
minutes?
to approve.
You move to approve? Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion concerning the minutes?
No,
No?
sir.
If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Receive updates on parks and recreation projects.
Okay, so since we last met, we sort of talked about the Ladonna Creek Trail the last time. But here's a picture of how it's been kind of readjusted so that people are able to get onto the trail and still utilize it during the time that we're waiting to fully functionally repair it. Temple splash pad is pretty much done. Here's the picture of the splash pad as of right now. And
All we're waiting on is the company to come back and adjust the box, program the box for those different nozzles and stuff.
okay, so pretty close.
That's all we're waiting on.
I know y'all talked about this last month, but on the Lanana Creek Trail, we have this modified path. What's the entirety, what's the cost for the repair? The big picture.
We don't have that yet. So right now, what we're hung up on is we are waiting on the state. The Corps of Engineers, our last response was, there may be a type of endangered bat on the trail in that area. And so part of it, which does not stop us from fixing it. It just dictates our time frame because we
Yeah.
can't build during, what was it?
Hibernation season or pupping season.
Yes, it
Okay,
was not on our bingo card necessarily.
but it's walkable right now?
It is walkable, and the reason we did that is because if you went to that Martinsville entrance, we had it blocked off, and you could see where people had made a little cattle trail around the side,
Yeah,
and they got around there by hanging on a tree and holding on to it and careening around, which was horrifying.
yeah.
And so our city attorney and city engineer all agreed that if we marked it off, this portion is not gonna collapse in, it's actually less liability and a little bit safer, so that way the actual damaged part is blocked off, so you can still walk it. We're working through with the state, and our new city, or, our assistant city engineer, Jason Vickery, has been working with, Michael Delaney on a few options, whether it's fully rebuilding that retaining wall, or maybe building more of a wooden walkway right there that would hug. So we're kind of working through those options that may be a little bit cheaper, because one of our estimates was roughly $500,000. And that's just not something we have, but so we're working on some of those options right now.
Thank you. Sorry, Joy. I
Oh, no,
interrupted
you're
your
fine.
thing.
Okay, so splash pad coming soon.
Rod has a question.
Yes, Rod, sorry.
At Temple Splash Pad,
Yes.
which looks great, on either side, you can see part of it up there where there used to be pad and is now dirt. Are we gonna do?
No, that didn't used to be pad. That was always dirt. Yeah, it was always dirt.
I noticed yesterday it was full of water and I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's always dirt, but, when they were building it, they took pretty much the grass out of it. We'll just have to replant grass in it. That's what we're gonna try to do, once we get it all done.
I'm just thinking, having seen the water there, that once the kids are there, we're gonna end up with that mud problem again.
Well, if we put sod there, maybe the water won't hold there.
And hopefully that'll help us, since we were joking about, we got a splash pad done right in time for winter. Wasn't the best timing, but we got it in. So hopefully that'll give us some chance to reestablish some of that grass, even though it's not a huge growing season for grass, but hopefully it can get kind of reestablished before we open it up
And
for the
springtime.
kiddos to destroy it again.
No, wait, where is this located? Is this the one?
It's on MLK.
MLK, yeah,
That's
Temple.
the one I was thinking of.
There's actually more concrete there now than there used to be.
Okay.
What is our opening day for that splash pad and the one on Moroni? Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Our plan is opening day typically is Memorial Weekend, so usually we'll open it the Friday before.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're all pretty excited about this one. As y'all know, that Splash of Doches is wonderful. It's just a recirculating system, so it has a lot of maintenance issues that come along with that. This is a pass-through system, so the water that sprays will just go into our sewer system and pass through. It's not a huge water suck, just because it's not as much equipment as like Moroni. So we're excited about this one, which, knock on wood, should be a little bit less maintenance. should be a little bit easier for our staff to maintain.
Okay, sorry, keep
You
going.
guys are good. All right, and here's some pictures of the final rendering of the Robert McCrimmon Playground that we talked about previously. And as you can see, we did put a sign out there just to kind of let everybody know, like, there is a new playground coming here, so you can be aware of the changes that you should be seeing.
And kind of a don't panic when we start pulling out the other stuff. There will be something else going in.
Right.
All right.
I think you guys discussed this in detail last time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then for those that weren't able to make it out, this is just a few pictures from our Ritchie Street opening celebration. We were able to raffle off some signed basketballs by the women's and men's team of SFA. And we had some signed pictures and things like that, so it was a very fun time. We had a little snow cone food truck out there, so everybody that came out seemed to have a really good time.
We were all laughing because one of the kids that won, I think it was the SFA men's basketball, he won it, he's like, oh, this is cool, and then starts dribbling it and playing with it, and I'm like, stop, it's signed. But I mean, he's like a 13-year-old kid, so he's like, cool, I got a new basketball. Yeah, so it was really funny, but I was like, oh no. But it didn't look like he dropped it in mud or anything, so I'm sure it's still fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had probably 50 people that
Yeah,
came
we had
out,
quite a few
something
people
like
out.
that. We kind of had come and go. It was
Really good.
it was a lot of fun, and a lot of that was Cece and Joy working together because typically we do ribbon cuttings, which are great. But if you're wanting to celebrate a playground, we're like, let's just go out there and play, and kind of do a celebration. We had music, food, so it was a really fun kind of departure from what we normally do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun.
All right, so that's, for the updates, that's pretty much all of our updates as of right now.
Okay, who's gonna handle the discussion of the Maroney Park Playground?
That'll be me and Ken. Do you want me to drive?
There you go.
Thank you, Ken. And for those of you that don't know, this is Ken Jones. He's the owner of Cox Jones Contracting, who has our contract for the Maroney Playground rebuild. So we kind of wanted to go over some designs that Ken's come up with, kind of where we are, and what our next steps are. So right here we have the original design of Maroney Playground. The items in yellow are essentially what were damaged during that fire that we sent to our insurance, saying here's the portion that was burned. You can see kind of one of our sad little after pictures. And for a while we kind of struggled with how do we bid this out? How do we rebuild a playground? There was a lot of initial, offers to donate wood. Unfortunately, it was wood that was treated with products that we can't use in wooden playgrounds because they were like, we have old telephone poles, which we can't use. They've got tar and all that sort of stuff all over them. And so what we ended up working out with our insurance with city council is that we hired Cox Jones to do a design build contract, just like we do our other playgrounds. So Ken's been brought on board. We have a not to exceed dollar amount of $50,000. And then Ken has worked with our staff and then is coming to y'all today to kind of say, here's what we came up with. What do you think? If we do have any budget money left over, what should we do with it? So I'm excited to get to show y'all these designs. So originally, these are some of the designs we sent to Ken as far as our kind of inspiration images. We very much wanted it to still be wooden playground, to match in with what we have, a lot of climbing, balance beams, things like that.
Right.
This is a rendering that Ken and his team did of what was left after that fire. So you can kind of see that's the existing area, and then that lines at the bottom is kind of, there was something there. And of course is burned and will be taken out. Also, you will see there's a few burned posts out there that are still intact but will be removed during this project. Ken and I chatted about it. The posts that are still out there are structurally sound, but we're never gonna be able to get kind of that wood ash off of it, so we're gonna have every kid touching it and have ash all over their hands, and every parent's gonna call me, so they'll be replaced.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that show up on here that will go away, because
Forever charcoal.
yes, forever charcoal, and I will forever get phone calls for that, and I don't wanna do that. So this is essentially what Ken has come up with, laid over what is existing out at Maroney Playground. So you can see we have a slide that is still there that was left intact. Basically anything that's kind of the brighter white color is what we're going to be is what we have proposed to put in. I'll do this one so you can kind of get some of the background noise out of the way. So essentially we're rebuilding a damaged structure, putting in a plastic crawl tunnel, a rope climbing wall, which I'm super excited about, a new canopy structure so that way the canopies kind of match the older portion of the playground so this doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. A rope bridge area, rebuild some of the other damaged wood structure, some balance beams, and then a rock climbing wall is what we are proposing.
How high is that rock climbing wall? How tall?
It's about 60 inches.
Okay.
Ish, roughly.
Yeah.
There's also a remaining fireman pole, slide pole that's out there. It's just steel pipe. My guess is we can remove it, clean it, prep it, paint it, and put it back. So I'm thinking this was a new addition, Jessica. Right there behind the figure in the red sweater there.
That's
So
great.
opposite the rope climbing wall, we could put the fireman's pole back up there.
What about the fire extinguisher? Where will it go?
It's gonna be attached to the bottom somewhere.
I'm sorry.
We'll attach it to the outside of the bathroom.
I will say my first impression is that this really does honor the original structure and plan and layout of that. It's very much in that same spirit and the same imaginative play opportunities for kids, I feel like.
And this is kind of one from the top, just so you can kind of have a better image of just the new portion. So you can, and Ken had to struggle with the how do we get from one height to another, because some of the existing structure is a little bit higher, so you have that tunnel that goes down onto a new platform, has another step up, will attach back to the original portion. I'm excited because it adds some new elements as far as, you know, that rock wall, climbing wall, some ropes, plastic tunnel, and the balance beams, which were our big request early on.
Yeah, I remember that.
How large is the diameter on that plastic tunnel? Is that gonna keep our range of age of kids?
Yes, I think it's about 30 inches. I don't know that exactly. That particular piece is a playground supply house off-the-shelf component.
Okay.
So I would think it would be perfect for standard play ages, which you would expect on a playground.
Yeah, and we can verify that because this is kind of the big kid side.
Right, it's
so-
kind of the big kid side, and you see a lot of parents playing, interacting with their kids on this side of the playground, or at least when it was intact. It's just making sure that it's an inclusive space that everybody can use.
And we can double check on that and make sure it is.
Is that ropes to help climb up the, onto the play set? Or am I looking too much detail?
Right, well, this doesn't show up on the TV, does it?
It doesn't, does it?
Yeah, it
Okay,
does.
so over here on this
Yes.
screen, are you talking about this, Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, so those are two ropes. We talked about doing an easy rope and a hard rope because you can see some ropes have a tie at the bottom and top.
Yeah.
Other ones have ties like every foot or so.
Okay.
And so we'll have those next to each other. So kids can go up there and use the easy or the hard ones, or they can brace each other.
Now, how does that fall as far as playground and safety rules? Because I remember whenever I was a kid, they eliminated all ropes from play sets because kids were getting injured and hurt.
Yeah, and a lot of that, especially with playground safety rules now, usually as long as they're attached at the top and bottom.
So it'd be attached both ways?
Yes,
and
it would be
then we're good
attached
to go?
both ways, and then we do have that same fall zone around it, so if a kid does fall off, anything like that, they won't hit their head, so we do have those fall zones incorporated.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments? What do y'all think about what we've kind of come up with?
Can I see the other angle for just a second?
This one?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
And this is kind of what it would look like on site.
So what was the insurance, coverage on that, and what is this costing?
So, our insurance company essentially said the entire playground, and that's both halves, swings, everything, was insured for $250,000, which is far too low. And so what we did is, we worked with Ken and kind of came up with if we tried to use as much as currently existing, and then just add to it in the same vein, what would that cost? Ken gave us a number of not to exceed 50,000, and our insurance is covering every bit of it.
Well, I didn't hear what the insurance actually covered.
They covered all 50,000, and they would have covered more had we chosen to demolish more or needed to. It was insured up to $250,000, but we didn't need to pull the full amount, and so we chose just to pull that $50,000 to repair what was here. So this will come at essentially no cost to the city. It'll be a cost to us for about 2 weeks because we'll pay Ken and Cox Jones, and the insurance will reimburse into that same amount.
All right, any other discussion concerning the new park design at Maroney?
What about the fencing? You can see it's still orange safety fence. Will we replace it with similar slats?
Yes.
Outside fence.
The outside fence, yeah. Okay.
We saved all the slats with the name.
Oh, wonderful. That's good.
If they're, if they're, able to put them back up, we will, but
Okay.
we're gonna try to find someone to route the names out, because I'm not that good with routing.
I bet one
You
of
could
the
try
school
to
districts
carve
with
it.
their router tables, their shop can take care of it. Thank you.
And so kind of what we're needing from y'all, we don't have an exact budget on this yet, so essentially what Ken's pulling together over the next week or so is, with this design, is it gonna take up the entire 50,000, or are we gonna have a couple thousand under left to play with? So what I was hoping to get from y'all is kind of some recommendations on, you know, if we have $3,000 left over, what do we spend it on here? Of course, it would have to be at Maroney Playground, so it has to go into that contract. You know, it could be, you know, additional fence repair in some other places if pickets are falling out. We could use it to pressure wash some of the other areas and put Thompson's water seal on other places that aren't these burn sections. We could build a new wooden bench because all the benches inside that play area are wooden. So I was kind of hoping for some recommendations from y'all, what you'd like to see.
There's always gonna be incidentals, I say put it in an account and leave it until we run into the incidentals, and then make a decision after that if there's actually money left over, which I doubt there will be.
What are we putting on the
I mean,
ground?
Of those
Wait, what?
options, I'm
What are we
thinking
putting on the
cleaning up
ground?
what's there.
So we put playground mulch from Bailey Bark here in town, and we have that worked into our normal city budget throughout the year. And because we get truckloads of it every year to spread out throughout the park, so we have that in a separate budget account.
Christie, you were saying?
Of the options that you presented, I would like to see the cleanup of the wood and sealing that. And
That way
kinda
it
like bring
matches.
it all,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
so it
refresh-
doesn't look like
refresh
this
the
is
place.
Yeah.
30 years old and
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have a professional builder out there, let's use the whole budget and go around and fix everything that needs to be fixed. Cause it could be as simple as something could be loose that he could go in and tighten up that would prevent it from damaging more in the future. Preventative maintenance, go around and do preventative maintenance on the whole, everything, just go around and just fix everything. I would like to see happen.
Okay, great.
Any other ideas? Is that where we're at? Awesome. So do we need to approve something here? Approve the design up to 50,000 or?
Not necessarily, council has approved the contract, so we have that contracted amount. So really just kind of a general consensus of like, we
So-
like the design
So
and,
this is a
It's a great
recommendation,
design.
yes, a recommendation of kind of the design we've
Okay.
presented.
and consensus is good enough to give recommendation. Okay,
Correct.
very good. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, one more.
Was there more?
Yeah, just a short little thing. Ken and I were chatting. Once we work out the specifics of, these are our next steps, this is our design, which we've kind of have a consensus of today. We'll work on a timeline of when this construction will start. We'll send that out to y'all once we have an exact date, of course, taking into consideration Christmas is next week. We'll start working on that.
Next week? No, I'm joking.
I was like, Christmas is next week, right? Killing me. All of a sudden, I about had a heart attack. I'm like, tell me it's not this week. And Ken and I were chatting, it should take 2 to 3 weeks roughly to build. And at that point, we'll send out when we're proposing to start. And one thing I would love to do, just because, you know, we need so much bark put out in the playground, trash picked up, you know, spot cleaning. We have little honeydew projects. Our hope is to have like a Thursday and Friday before the park opens, have like a work day. During the day when the park crew's gonna be out there, if anybody would like to come volunteer and help us rake playground mulch, pick up trash, we've got a paint chalkboard out there that probably needs to have some new chalkboard paint painted on it, some little things like that. So I'd love to have like 2 days of a work day, and then we'll have like that next Saturday will be our big opening. We may have some giveaways, kind of do another celebration. So we'll send out that date if anybody would like to
Yeah,
participate.
that'd be really good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all I had on that.
Okay. So let's move on to, well, that was it as far as the Maroney Park, right?
Correct.
Okay, so do we have any other big goals and vision things we need to get on the agenda for next time? Or you guys, I wasn't here last time, so I didn't know if anything was really going on. Not really? No? Okay. Well, good enough then. I think we're done. Do you have any other issues for us?
No, you do have, your meeting dates are on here.
Yay.
We had talked about at one of our previous meetings to going to every other month. This was kind of a weird one because this is like your November, December one smashed together because of all the holidays. So we will have a meeting in January and then we'll proceed to every other month, unless there is some kind of special need, and then we can call a special meeting.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and we're adjourned.
Thank you. And please